Hey there everyone, welcome back to Measure and Mix. Today I'm going to be making some Dollar Tree farmhouse spring DIYs. If you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell before you leave. Now let's get started on these DIYs today. For this first DIY, I'm going to use 2 of these round mirrors from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to set one aside and leave it completely assembled. The other one I'm going to take and flip over and just pry the back and the mirror out of that. Now I'm going to use some wooden beads. These colorful ones came from Dollar Tree. They're the larger ones. And I'm going to go ahead and use those because I have some left. And then the other ones came from Joann's in a pack, and I just had them left over. So I figured I'd go ahead and use them. They are all the same size. You can use whatever wooden beads that you have. Sometimes you can find some at Michael's or Amazon for a lot cheaper than what you can get them at Dollar Tree. Now I'm just going to start off by taking one of them and applying some hot glue to the end with one of the ends with the holes, and then the other end with the hole is going to be facing upwards. And I'm just going to apply all of these beads all the way around the mirror frame until I get to the end. When I did get to the very last bead, it didn't fit perfectly. There was too much of a space between the last 2 beads. So I just went ahead and removed one of those beads, which it was super easy to take off because it was hot glue. So I just kind of pulled it up and then applied some more hot glue to that bead and moved it over just a little bit. So there was a bigger space in between these 2 beads, but you could barely tell by the end of all of this. And I used 34 beads in total to cover this whole frame. Next, I just went ahead and applied some hot glue around the top of all of the beads, and then turned my other mirror over and placed that on top of the beads, so that way it made a little tray. Now I'm just going to take some white linen chalk paint by Rust-Oleum and paint the whole thing with 2 coats of chalk paint. You could definitely paint this before you put it all together, like after you put the beads on the first frame. I just went ahead and did it this way because it was easier for me. And then the next thing I did, because I wanted to make it look a little more farmhouse and weathered, is I just took some stain that I had on a stencil brush from Dollar Tree, and I brushed most of it off, and then I just started going around the outer edges of the frame and the beads, so that way it looked a little more weathered and worn.
Jump into the car on a Friday night, I wanna drive with you, looking for a bar.
Now there were a few spots that I was a little heavy-handed with the stain, so I did come back with my paintbrush with some of that white chalked paint on it, and I just kind of brushed most of the paint off, so that way I dry brushed around the stain to kind of blend it all together. Now that was it for this little beaded tray. I was inspired by something I saw at Pier 1, and I think this turned out so cute and more affordable. This second DIY is super easy. I just got 4 of these little boxes with the succulents in them. I love the frames. They're already white, so I don't have to do anything to them. And all I'm gonna do is remove one of the succulents from one of the boxes. Now it did have a nail holding the succulent in, so it was sticking up, so I just pushed it down, and then I added some hot glue on top just to be on the safe side, so you wanna be careful with that. The other 3 frames, I just popped the back off of them and I set the backs aside. And now I'm just going to take the 4 frames, and the one with the bottom still in it, that is going to be the bottom base. And then I'm just going to take the other 3 frames and stack them on top of that bottom base using some hot glue to hold everything together. This is just an easy, cute little way to make a shiplap planter box without having to paint it or anything like that, because it already has that weathered look. And now what I'm going to do is just use these 3 bunches of wildflowers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pluck the white wildflowers off and set those aside. And I'm taking the leaves off of the stems and using those to fill this planter box because I think they kind of look like boxwood in my opinion. So I just placed those inside the planter box, and that was it. This just turned out so cute to set around your house for some farmhouse decor for spring. For the last DIY, I'm going to try to create a milk and cream jug or pitcher. I'm not sure what you would call it, but I'm going to use it as a vase, but it's like a farmhouse look. So I'm using this vase from Dollar Tree and 2 shower curtain hooks. They're plastic and they came from Dollar Tree in a pack of 12. What I'm going to do is just take the 2 ends where they hook together and I'm going to bend those off. And I thought they would just snap off easily, but actually this plastic is really thick, so I just had to bend it a few times back and forth to get both ends off. And once I did that, I had 2 C's left. And those are what's going to be my handle for this milk and cream jug or pitcher, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to add some hot glue to the bottom of the handles and then place those on the side where the vase bumps out, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to let those sit and make sure they set up to harden and stay on. Then I used some linen white chalked paint in the spray paint, but unfortunately that didn't cover as well as I wanted it to. So I came back with some regular white chalk paint and just painted the whole vase to give it more of a cohesive and farmhouse look. Once that was finished, I came back with my stain and my little stencil brush to give this a weathered look like I did with the tray in the previous DIY. And then I came back with some white chalk paint and went over that a little bit to kind of blend it all together. For the lettering on my vase, I'm using these stamps from Target Dollar Spot. I didn't pick up any ink for them, so instead I'm going to use my stencil brush with a little bit of that stain on it and just apply that to each one of these stamps, and that worked out perfectly for my ink. And then I just stamped the words Farm Fresh Milk onto the vase, and I made sure that I lined up the first letter in each word so that way everything looked cohesive and didn't get all out of whack and look crooked. Lastly, I covered the vase with some of this cream wax by Waverly that dries clear so that way it wouldn't chip. I also covered the tray at the beginning of this video with that, but I forgot to mention that. But that was it for this, and I think it turned out so cute and so farmhouse.
Car on a Friday night, I wanna drive with you. Looking for a bar in the nearest town. I've never seen a sky so blue. And you're taking me high. Ain't nobody like you. I'm not coming down.
Thank you guys so much for watching today. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to click on these videos for more spring and farmhouse inspiration. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.